Now, Bruce Orr, the twice demoted corrupt DOJ official at the very center of the deep state's effort to stop Donald Trump, is set to testify before Congress. Coming up, we will detail how Orr became a seedy central figure in what is the Destroy Trump movement. Plus, we have breaking news tonight, a new report from Sarah Carter showing how a government whistleblower allegedly punished after sounding the alarm on a strange $1 million contract given to a key player in the government's effort to surveil the Trump administration. This will blow you away. And also tonight, there's a new scary list circulating on Capitol Hill. It previews the Democrats' shocking post-election agenda. None of it is to help you. We have it. We'll share it with you. 71 days to go until the most important midterm election in our lifetime. It should serve as a warning to everybody. Protect what you voted for in 2016. And good news from the international front. The U.S. and Mexico have agreed to a strong new trade deal. What happened to the trade war? Meanwhile, the stock market is surging. The president's poll numbers remain steady despite last week's media hysterical breakdown. We're bringing all of that. Plus, we will honor the life of an American patriot. He was a hero. He served his country. John McCain with his longtime friend and colleague, Senator Lindsey Graham. Sit tight, buckle up. We start with our breaking news opening monologue. He was once the fourth highest ranking official in the Justice Department. An Associate Deputy Attorney General, Bruce Orr, cultivated a close relationship with former Clinton paid-for foreign spy, dirty dossier author, he doesn't even believe the dossier himself, Christopher Steele. And allegedly, without the permission or knowledge of then-boss, Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein, Orr and Steele maintained a close relationship and contacts both before, during, and after the 2016 election. 2 weeks ago, right here on this show, we first showed you dozens of unearthed texts and emails and handwritten notes that detailed specifically how Orr and Steele worked together to spread the dirty dossier throughout some of the highest levels of our government, and to also spread lies, propaganda, disinformation to you, the American people, so you would vote for one person over another before the election in 2016. This contact between Steele and Orr continued even after the FBI cut all official ties with Christopher Steele because he was leaking to the press information he knew was not true. And, of course, Bruce Orr knew that the dossier was, in fact, bought and paid for by the Clinton campaign and the DNC. He knew that Steele was doing Clinton's bidding as an opposition researcher for the group Fusion GPS with that funneled money through a law firm. He likely knew that the contents of the dossier were unverified at best, now debunked most of it. Now, after all, Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie Orr, she worked with Christopher Steele at Fusion GPS, a massive detail that Bruce Orr failed to report to the Justice Department he worked for, while some of his colleagues used the contents of Clinton's dirty dossier as the basis for criminal investigations and, of course, lying in FISA court applications. Now, the Orr-Steele relationship was so seedy that in 2017, Christopher Steele expressed his concern over James Comey's upcoming testimony, writing to Bruce Orr, "Hi, just wondering if you had any news. Obviously, we're a bit apprehensive given scheduled appearance at Congress on Monday," that would be Comey's, "hoping that important firewalls, plural, will hold. Thanks. Many thanks." Now, meanwhile, according to Bruce Orr's handwritten memos, Christopher Steele was, quote, very concerned about the Comey hearing and afraid they will be exposed. And other communications show Steele's efforts to reach the special counsel investigation, including Robert Mueller. In November 2017, Orr wrote to Steele, quote, "I have passed on the questions, apparently to the special counsel Mueller, but haven't gotten an answer yet." So Orr was actually feeding Steele's Russian lies to Bob Mueller and his Democratic donor witch hunters. And Steele later wrote back, quote, "I'm presuming you've heard nothing back from your SC special counsel colleagues on the issues you have kindly put forward in front of me. To say this is a disappointment is an understatement." So tomorrow's a big day. You, the American people, finally deserve answers. And during this hearing before Congress, Orr will appear before the House Judiciary and House Government Reform and Oversight Committees. It is important we get answers. These are just a few of the questions. What did Steele mean when he said, quote, "hoping important firewalls will hold"? What are those firewalls? Why was Steele worried about, quote, being exposed? Who in the DOJ knew that Steele was feeding information to Orr? Was Bruce Orr really working on the Russia probe without the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein's permission or knowledge? Remember, Rosenstein signed off on the 4th FISA warrant. We knew by then the bulk of information was the phony Clinton bought and paid for dossier. Who in the special counsel investigation did Orr pass along Steele's issues to? And this is important. Did any FISA applications contain information from Orr's work with Christopher Steele? Was he working hand in hand with his wife, our employer, Fusion GPS? And what role did Nellie Orr play in this phony Russian dossier? Now, these questions to just the tip of the iceberg. New article in The Federalist outlines several important topics that also must be addressed. I know this has nothing to do with taxi medallions or bank loans or tax returns, but we'll update you on this real case of collusion tomorrow after the hearing. Now, also tonight, we have another breaking report that exposes potential corruption, again at the highest levels of your government. According to Sarah Carter, this is an interesting story. A defense analyst named Adam Lovinger was targeted and stripped, his security clearance gone. Why? Because he exposed what is a bizarre and strange $1 million contract between the Department of Defense and Stefan Halper. Now, who's Stefan Halper? You might remember Halper. He was the guy that the FBI used as the undercover, important, otherwise known as spy against the Trump campaign in the lead up to the 2016 election. It gets deeper. And according to Sarah Carter, and she'll join us in a minute, Lovinger raised concerns over Halper's diplomatic meetings with foreigners. And by the way, including Russians, something not allowed in his role as a contractor. We did reach out to Halper, the Department of Defense tonight. They haven't responded. Shocking. Now, we'll talk to Sarah Carter and Lovinger's attorney, Sean Bigley. They'll join us with more on this developing story. But first, we are currently tracking another huge developing story that could spell very bad news for Robert Mueller tonight. A federal court case stemming from a decades-old murder. They're actually set to decide whether or not information from grand jury investigations can actually be released to the public. Now, if the court finds that such information cannot be made public, that would mean Robert Mueller could be muzzled and prevented from releasing a report at the conclusion of his witch hunt when he writes a stupid report. Usually grand jury information is kept secret. And remember, only prosecutors get to make the case to a grand jury. In other words, there's no defense case before a grand jury. In America, you can't indict a ham sandwich. We're going to keep you posted on this case as arguments are set to begin next month. And meanwhile, we have yet another setback for anyone breathlessly hoping and praying for Mueller to find the Trump-Russia collusion that we've not heard to this point. The attorney for Michael Cohen, our old friend Lanny Davis, well, he's now backpedaling on his claim that Donald Trump knew about the now infamous 2016 Trump Tower meeting. This is a big deal. And Davis is now saying that he should have been clear, and now he cannot confirm that information that he had once confirmed. And CNN fake news reported. This raises another important question. Is Michael Cohen really being served well in this case by his attorney, lifelong Clinton ally, politically motivated against the president? Remember, it was Lanny Davis who said his client would never accept a pardon from President Trump. Okay, he'd rather serve 5 years in prison? That really was a bad thing for any attorney to say. We'll have more on that in a moment. But first, we're going to turn to the midterm election. 71 days from tonight. You will be tuned in. You will be watching election results. You will decide. The power is in your hands, the future of this country. For months, we have been warning you about the Democratic post-election agenda. If they take back the House, they're coming for, they call it crumbs, the tax cut, but they still want the crumbs back. They said they will rescind President Trump's tax cuts. We know, and I've been saying forever, their number one goal, they won't tell you, but they want to impeach this president. How does Obamacare work out for you? Did you get to keep your doctor plan and pay less? They want to keep Obamacare. They want to block Kavanaugh from the U.S. Supreme Court. They want open borders. They want to abolish ICE. They want to kill off the deep state investigations and abuse of power that we have been exposing every night on this show. And according to a list first obtained by Axios, congressional Republicans are now previewing a series of what will be investigations that Democrats will likely launch if they regain power in the House. By the way, if you look at the list, it's interesting. That list, nothing is about making life better for you, your family, the forgotten men and women in this country. None of it. And some are calling it a hell list for President Trump and his allies should they take back power in 71 days. Look at the list. It includes inquiries into the president's tax returns, family businesses, the president's dealings with Russia, James Comey's firing. Oh, Rod Rosenstein recommended it. Stormy Daniels, the travel ban, Jared Kushner, Ivanka, ethics compliance, hurricane response in Puerto Rico, and so much more. Look, keep that list rolling. Let this be a clear warning. If you don't vote in 71 days, if you don't understand what's at stake, and Republicans lose the House, I'm telling you right now, this is not my first rodeo. We were on this show, this network, when we launched in October 1996. I promise you, this will all happen. The Trump agenda will be stalled. Anti-Trump investigations will feed into the media frenzy that we now see ratcheting up every day. That's why I keep telling you, it's the most important midterm elections in your lifetime. If you voted for Donald Trump, you like the results of Donald Trump, then you better pay attention to this November, 71 days away, because that's what they want to do, and more. Without a doubt, the Trump agenda is working. Just today, the president announced a strong new trade deal with Mexico. This is a win for this country. Take a look.
We just signed a trade agreement with Mexico, and it's a terrific agreement for everybody. It's been in the works for a long time. It's an agreement that a lot of people said couldn't be done, and we did something that was very special. Great for our farmers, our workers, and our stock market just broke 26,000 for the first time ever in the history. So today we have the highest stock price we've ever had. And we're very happy about that. I said that was going to happen, and it's happened. Everything I said is going to happen. It ends up happening.
And guess what? Following that announcement, the NASDAQ jumped to a record high as our already surging economy continues to strengthen. Good day on the Dow as well. Record low unemployment rates across the board. Let's see, 14 states, record low unemployment for Hispanic Americans, African Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workforce. Youth unemployment is now at a, 40-year low. Consumer confidence at an all-time high. More jobs than we have people on unemployment available. A key reason why the president's approval rating, in spite of all of these vicious, vile, day-by-day, predictable media attacks, remains steady and strong, and subsequent impeachment obsession even after Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort last week. All right, we have a lot to get to tonight.